up, beautiful world? Welcome back to Mandatory Creations, part 3 of making a fantasy kitten. We're starting this video with a little piece of white fur already on the face because when I was filming that bit, well, let's just say there were some technical difficulties, and I won't bore you with the details, but I will say it involved a little bit of hot glue, a lot of duct tape, and a stick. So anyway, as you can see, I just covered that side of the face in hot glue and stuck the black fur onto it, and I'm just sort of pressing it in to make sure it gets everywhere. Now, the person who asked me to make this creature said he wanted it to be black and white, so that's what we're doing. Now for this side of the face, I'm just going to take my hot glue and cover it everywhere I want the fur to be. Now we can take our black fur and press it onto the face, making sure we get it into all the little cracks and crevices. Now that we've got this rather hideous black and white mass, we can start trimming the fabric. Here I've cut out the very tip of the nose and I'm just sort of gluing the fabric down around it. Now a little more trimming down on the jaw before we start cutting out around the eye. Aha! This is where the eye outline comes in handy. It gives you a good place to push the fur into. Without it, you can end up with a messy and jagged line. Now I start trimming his little cheeks, just to give them a bit more definition. One side of the face all done. I'm not going to show me doing the right side just because mostly all you can see while I'm doing it is my elbow, so just know that I did the exact same thing I did on the left side. Now all that's left is to trim off the excess fur around the face. And that is how I fur a face. Next, we'll be doing the ears. I start out by cutting 2 identical pieces of felt. Since this is a kitten, I'm making them kind of pointy. But since I love big eyes and big ears, I'm making them huge. I'm using black fabric for the outside of the ear. I'm using 1/16 of an inch aluminum wire to go on the inside of the ear. I shape it to the felt, then place the felt onto the fabric with the wire in between. Then I hot glue the whole thing together. Now it's time to cut it out. When you're cutting fur, you always need to be careful that you're just cutting the fabric and not the fur itself. Here's what my ear looked like when it was all cut out and brushed. Now it's time to attach the ears to the head. I trim the wires just to make them a little bit easier to work with. To attach the ears, I just push the wire into the tinfoil at the back of the head where I think they should go. Now that I've got the ears where I want them, it's time to hot glue them in place. Like I do with the head, I just squirt a little bit of hot glue into the hole, and push the wire back in. Whoops, burned myself a little bit there. Alright, 2 ears. Now all that's left is to fur the rest of the body and paint the clay pieces.
No, we are not starting with the fur already cut out and put on the body because my phone ran out of storage and I lost all the footage. What? Who said that?
So, yeah, sorry. I'll explain exactly what I did though, so don't worry. I start out by cutting a piece of black fur as long as the body. Then I glue it to the back of the head, trimming it so that it lays flush with the fur already on the face. Then I cut 2 leg holes for the back legs and trimmed the fabric till it fits snugly around the body. This piece of white fabric is simply glued onto the chin because I wanted this cat to have a white chest. Now I take a needle and some black thread and start stitching up the body. And since this process is extremely repetitive and mind-numbingly boring, I'm going to skip to the end of it. Okay, now our little creature is all stitched up. All we have left are the legs and the tip of the tail. Let's start with the tail. I'm using this white fabric and trimming it till it fits snugly around the tip. Now I'm going to take my needle and some white thread and stitch all the way around and then down to the bottom. First I go around, then down, and there we go. Now all that's left is to finish the dreaded legs. So basically, this is just like the rest of the body. I get a piece of fabric, I cut it to shape, and then I sew them on, one by one, each tedious little stitch at a time. I'll be right back. And with that last stitch and the power of editing, the legs are all done. Now on to painting. I start by making the eyelids black, like the fur around them. For the nose, I mixed up a nice pink color. The eyes, of course, I paint white. pupils. I'm not going to do any color, just because I think it's a lot simpler and honestly quite a bit cuter to just do black. Now time to add a little highlight. For the paw pads, I decided to paint them just black along with the rest of the foot, since they're just not going to be seen very much, and I decided it wasn't worth the time and the waste of paint. And that is how I made a fantasy kitten. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to have a fantastic day. Stay cool, keep creating, and I'll see you all next time. If you liked this creature and want to see more, you can go to mandatory.creations.com, which is just my Instagram.